folks, if you want to learn everything about 10x Down Under, how we use the 10x mindset, 10x marketing, 10x sales, and 10x follow-up principles to blow up your business, then you're in the right place with our 10x Business Coaches Down Under podcast. I'm Gary Ryan with co-host
Alison Wheeler.
Our special guest this evening, Barrett Quinn from Quinn Consulting. G'day, Barrett. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me on board. Hi, Gary. Hi, Alison.
So thank you for jumping on, Barrett, and it would be great to start off with a little bit about yourself and your business, your history. How are you where you're at today? I know that you're sort of you've got a history of a lot of business, but and I also know that you're on some new pathways as well, which is super exciting, potentially as a result of maybe hitting into a bit of 10x and shuffling things around and shaking things up a little, but that's always a good thing. A little bit about yourself, Barrett, and your business would be fantastic.
Sure. Thanks for the intro. So my background is predominantly in the IT space. I first started off in the mechanical side. I worked in various industries in various parts of the world, from the deepest, darkest jungles to skyscrapers and so on. But the key thing, I've always worked within corporates, and the key thing I've always realized about that is that it's not always people focused. And I love to help people. And obviously I found that when doing so, there's always a bit of red tape that you have to jump through. And in a way, it deters you, or, it puts stumbling blocks, within your path. And after a while, you get weary, you get tired, and it just seems like an uphill battle. So in 2018, when I got to New Zealand, I decided to start up a business. Primary focus is obviously within the project delivery space, but also assisting businesses with streamlining their processes, finding better ways for them to do them, do the functionalities, but more importantly, just to help them be more productive. Saving their time. There's an old it's saving your time, saving your money, putting you first. And that's the gist of it. So, and I've always enjoyed that. I'm not one for red tape. I'm just not one of those guys. But yeah. So, if that's the goal, that's the job, get it done.
Yeah. And I mean, at the same time, obviously some big organizations like Oracle and Suncore, you're able to projects for them, and what are some of the countries in the world where you've actually worked from, Barrett?
Well, mostly Southern Africa. So I come from South Africa. I've worked in Angola, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia, Botswana. I've worked in West Africa. So I've worked in parts of Central Africa. So very dangerous places, but exciting. It's fun. You get to live a little. Ethiopia, Ghana, and then obviously the Middle East. So did some work in Qatar, UAE. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. So what would be what would be a key theme that you've learned throughout your career that's come from that diversity of countries that you've worked in, Barrett?
I think the key thing is around culture. So when you move into a new place, or when you're meeting new people, you can't apply what's worked previously in your current state or wherever you're going. It just doesn't work. So be mindful of that. Each person, each culture, each business, each country is different. See it for what they are. See it for who they are. And if you spend a little bit of time and interest in their cultures and the way that they communicate and the way they do things, it works. It just gets you so much further. So when you do want to help or change, they're very receptive to it because they see you for who you are, not just someone who wants to just come and get things done. That's probably the biggest thing that's driven me.
I think that you mentioned something there, Barrett, that, what the way you've previously operated is not going to get you to where you want to be.
But
You spoke about that from a culture perspective. And then if you're changing and moving around, how you have to be willing to observe the culture you're moving to or the environment you're moving to, and then be able to immerse yourself within that, understand it, and communicate in that way. But I think what you're mentioning also just about applies to anything, right? What you got you here will not get you there. As long as you know where there is. That is assuming you also are putting a there, because not everyone does that. So you do have to have some goals, right, in order to be able to move any culture or any organization or anything along. But my question to you, Barrett, would be, what has been the most impactful project that you've been a part of, or the most impactful thing that you think you've been able to be involved in or do as a business owner or with an organization?
I think the most impactful was when I did work in Ghana for Goldfields. So I started off, they asked me to help with one area of the business, and that led to me taking on more responsibilities, different divisions, and so on. But the key thing that actually made it so much more worthwhile when dealing with the locals, I happened to, without even knowing it, I scolded a local chieftain for not looking after these people. And that actually got me the world of respect from him. So in doing so, the project that I was working on, because I had a contracting field of about 70 contractors, all locals. And with the chief on my side, it actually made things a whole lot smoother and easier. So if we needed to work, in various parts where, there's snakes and there's all kinds of things, and often, into the night, nothing was a problem. Everything worked, everything came, all the guys came on board. And just the culmination of these different cultures just come together and help and communicate. We all had a similar goal, and that just made it easier. So whatever stumbling blocks there were, we looked at it, we handled it, done, out, next thing, get that done, and the next, get that done until we reach the goal. That experience to me actually changed my perspective and my perceptions on many things that put me onto this pathway I am today.
I was just going to say it's interesting that in a moment where you stood up to an extremely high, no doubt, very well respected leader, you actually stood up for truth and what you believed, but also what was actually right. Where a lot of people would have been afraid to do that just because of the title someone had. But because you were willing to do that, and no doubt you delivered that in a respectful way, you wouldn't have delivered it in a way that was derogatory or anything like that, because that would have ended up badly. But, you can deliver a message like that in the right package with the right intention. You can deliver just about any message you like, and clearly that got you because you were actually willing to, and most people probably were not. They probably all knew it, but weren't willing to say anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was always raised, you treat people right regardless of where they come from and who they are. Everyone's the same. Treat them with courtesy, and with respect. And there's ways of doing things. At that time, in that moment, he was just another man. He was a business owner, and I just reminded him to look after his people, and that they're the ones who carry him. So, and it paid off. I didn't do it for sake of reward or to try myself, make myself look good, or it's none of the status things. It's right. So just get it done. Yeah.
That strong value that you mentioned at the start about helping people obviously came through in that example.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you also mentioned at the start that, you're in some risky environments. You mentioned the jungle, so the big skyscrapers, in some risky environments. And that's a risk to actually, challenge the chief in that example. Equally, you had the risk to move from South Africa in 2018 to New Zealand. Did you have both of your boys at that stage?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So me, the boys, and the wife, we all came over. So far enjoying it. I think it's probably been the better part of our lives. The kids are happy. They love the environment. My wife enjoys it thoroughly. And for me, it's allowed me to expand upon my journey. Which we'll touch upon. And and the future is endless.
So can you share a little bit about that, because it is such a courageous thing. I mean, anyone that moves countries, Alison's done it, I haven't done it, you've done it, to do it with a family though, your wife and two boys, is a very courageous thing to do. So there's some serious processing that you have to go through to take on that risk. I'm interested to unpack a little bit of your experience of that, please, Barrett.
Sure. So I think the first and foremost thing is there's got to be a goal. So what's the why? What are you going to do? You may not, or if you know what you're going to do, that's fine. But if you don't, the why is always important. So the goal. Because if you have a goal, you have something to work towards. You have something to strive towards. And with that, you can align the actions that need to be done, and manage expectations, especially when you've got two little boys, and my wife, who's also my boss. So happy life, happy wife, all that kind of stuff. But the key thing is I have to ensure that they are safe. I have to ensure that everything is arranged, everything works fine, and not put them at risk in any way, manner, or form. So the key thing is have a goal. You're going to move there. You're going to, this is what the life is like. This is what you're leaving behind. These are the merits to moving to that place. These are the benefits. So do something with your eyes wide open. Don't, and also, when you set a goal or look for something, do it. You do the research. It's fine to have opinions and so on. It's great. It adds a bit of flavor to it, but look at things for yourself, because then that what you've observed for you is true, and you can actually then apply that across to your family so that you can reassure them. But the key thing is have a goal. You know what you're moving towards. It makes it easier.
Did you have other countries to consider at the time, or your research had landed you with New Zealand?
We did look at going to the States because, at the time I was in Qatar, so my contract had come to an end there, and obviously we had a choice of countries to go to. And, me working with a lot of Kiwis in Africa, Australians, and we all just, we always got on well, so, very similar, like-minded people, and also, the fact that Lord of the Rings was filmed here definitely helped you guys. So, we thought we'd come over.
Which is very cool, I might add.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. So, we came over, and it was an easy journey, an easy transition. Obviously, Auckland's weather is one thing to get used to, which is still a work in progress. But, the people, the environment, and it's a pleasure. It's great for raising kids. It's great for learning about business and different types of environments. That was a good decision.
May I ask you then, Barrett, because obviously we're all things 10X, right? So what drew you into the world of 10X? Why? You have clearly you have some of the 10X thinking principles, which you may or may not have known that you had before. But what drew you towards 10X? Why 10X? Why do you want a 10X? Why did you get drawn into 10X?
I think the first got my attention in 2009. I heard one of Francis' speeches, and just the way that he presented himself really got mentioned in what he had to say and who he was. And then over the years, obviously, being in the various parts of the jungle, stuff like that, didn't have much access to a lot of internet and things like that, so a bit of a dry spell. Then when coming here to Auckland in 2018, started having a lot more interest. So obviously, looking at some of the work, some of the videos, attending some of the webinars that he often has at 2 a.m. in the morning, the occasional growth con, and the more you delve into it, a lot of things for me just made sense. It's very practical. It's very logical. Yes, I have my ways of thinking and the ways that I believe that, is right and so on. And the fact that he questions it, the fact that, the information he provides forces one to look at the things you're doing. And I enjoy that. I like being challenged. And I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy for change. I have no, doesn't bother me at all. So the fact that he made me realize that although I've always done sales in the past, I've never seen it for what it is. I've always known about marketing. I thought I was pretty good, but I'm actually not. So, the more you learn, the more you realize that, you can still do better. And the whole 10X thing, I just, just being better, doing better, expand. That's
what drew you in. Yeah, 100%. And I think you were saying about like 10X and Grant and the principles that really challenge your thinking, because they challenge what you've accepted. And I agree wholeheartedly. They challenge what you've accepted to be a previous truth, and to look at it, right, and go, maybe that's not so true. And these are the reasons why. I think that's why in with Grant, what Grant teaches in 10X, he teaches such grounded principles that you can challenge these things you've picked up along the way. And half the time you don't even know where you've picked them up. It can be just through upbringing, culture, things you've heard, all of that. So you start to adapt yourself to all of these things. And then a lot of them don't serve you in order to move forward. But until you look at them, you don't actually necessarily know. You don't know, and you know it's not working. That's what you do know.
Yeah.
And also you think you're not a salesperson, and yet we're all selling ourselves. The fact that we think we're not a salesperson, well, we sold ourselves on that idea well, didn't we? So, when we realize that the very first thing we sold ourselves is we're not salespeople, maybe we're better than we think.
That's true.
Yeah. I think just one more thing to add to that is because, with sales or marketing or whatever it is, we used to doing things at this level. And through his courses actually gets you to see, well, look, this is fine to start off with, but you can use this to go up here. It's just a slightly different shift in thinking and application, but it's quite rewarding. And I do see things in a different light, which is
and one of those things, Barrett, is you mentioned goals earlier. Now, I'd say the three of us have probably been fairly consistent through our lives at goal setting, and one of the things for the 10X world that really has challenged my thinking is about my goals and how low they are, and that has been a real stimulant for activity and action and getting things done and just making things happen at a much different level than and I previously thought I was pretty good at that, to be brutally honest. Similar to what you were saying, I thought I was pretty good at doing that, but just the whole thing of whatever goal you've got, blow it up by 10 and then go wow. The that I wrote Yes for Success, I'll go the pen that way. Because of being in the Cardone world and 10Xing it, I gave myself 5 months to write that 52,000 word book and get it published. And I did it in less than 5 months. And that would not have happened if I hadn't have been exposed to the 10X world, because my previous two people, along those lines. So it's that 10X activity and mindset. So for our folk watching, a couple of things before we get to our final question with you this evening, Barrett, is what are some of the things that you're doing right now, and what are some of the best ways for people to get into contact with you? And then I'll let Alison learn.
Sure. So, some of the best things, what works is have discipline. Through the Cardone, the Cardone University, there's a lot of content that you can reach in there. Various parts, there's a self-assessment that he provides or that he does, and it gives you great insight into some of the areas that you need to work on. So whether it be sales, whether it be marketing, whether it be, PR or improving your entrepreneurship in one form or another. Just chip away at it every day. Be consistent. If you recruit your habit, change it slowly, adapt to it, but just be consistent. If you do that, you'll learn to be persistent towards that goal, and it'll change the way you think. And you'll surprise yourself. You'll find it rewarding. You will. But the most important thing is you'll find that you want more, that you can do more, and you can be more, and you want to help others. And that's the key thing of why I do what I do.
So in terms of helping the people you're helping at the moment, what are some of the best ways for them to contact you to get that help? And just what are one of the two of the services that you can?
All right. So let me first jump into services. So, because my background is a predominantly a project delivery space. So anything from assessing where you are to helping you where you want to go, and also providing you with the most effective advice, to a solution that suits you. Not just provide a generic term for whichever, but just to help you grow. Have a pretty much agnostic approach to that. And then also along the way, just implement some governance and processes and just guidance to help you get there. The best way to get hold of me is obviously I'm on LinkedIn, so under Barrett Quinn. It's the easiest way to get hold of me, or by email, which is barrett@quinconsult.net. Reach out to me. Whether you want advice or whatever it is, I'm always happy to help a hand. Pleasure.
Absolutely. And our final question, which I would love to know, is what does 10x mean to you, Barrett?
It means be better. Think big, do big. Each business is different. Your big is different to mine. I like global. I like the bigger the better, the more complex the better. That's 10x. When you think you're comfortable, change it. Become uncomfortable. Confront those things. It can be scary, but that's the pleasure in it, because once you attain that height, there's always more. So people always there's all saying that the sky's the limit. It's not. Go higher. Go bigger. That's 10x.
Love it. Live in the uncomfortable.
Beautiful.
Because that is where the growth is. And that's where you're going to be able to see that next level, and the next level. You can't see it now because you're not there, right? But when you live in that uncomfortable, you get to see that there's so much expansion. So it's
absolutely.
I understand it. It's about expansion, it's about growth, and it's about staying in the uncomfortable so that you can, really stretch yourself. Think big. I think you said think big and be big. I love that. Yeah. Gary, do you want to wrap us up for today?
Oh, well, thanks, Alison and Barrett. And just before we get there, folks, Barrett's actually part of the Business Coaches DownUnder group mentoring program. And that program is really to create a safe space for people to continue to learn their 10X material. But also when you work on your own, it can be really lonely. And so to have a group of people that are doing very, very diverse businesses in our group mentoring program, very, very diverse businesses. But as a result of listening to other people's challenges, how they're resolving those challenges, and how they're implementing different things for their businesses, different members of the group like Barrett are actually getting benefits from listening to other people and hearing them share and get their challenges resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the amount of growth that I've had since joining your group, it's had a huge impact on me. It's it challenged the ways of thinking. It's got me more in place for discipline, so to apply things that I learn, and also just to ensure that I maintain that goal. The diversity is invaluable. So I encourage you all, look, business owners, aspiring business owners, get in touch with Gary and Alison.
Yeah.
Join the group. It's worth it.
And thanks for that, Barrett. We'll definitely have all those links in the show notes, folks, including how to contact Barrett. And one of the things around that is with 10X, you might be watching it from a distance. You would have heard Barrett say, hey, I got exposed to this way back in 2009. But it's really more recently when Barrett's actually dived more deeply into the 10X world. And as a result, got an exponential impact on the learning and understanding and application of the 10X principles by committing that next level, to go to that next level. So if you've been watching 10X and Grant from the distance, dive in. You'll find that it's going to actually create some 10X outcomes for you. So thanks, folks. Thanks you, Barrett, for joining us this evening.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, my co-host in Alison Wheeler.
Well, thanks, Gary. It's been
And I'm Gary Ryan. We are 10X Business Coaches Down Under podcast, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.